Opinions are like, well, you know, but does everyone actually have one? Find out for yourself. AM 1050 KCAA.
Welcome back to Theater of the Open Mind. The Many Moods of Vince Daniels.
Higher and higher, baby.
And free thinkers like our guest, Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt, author of The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America. She's joining us until 11:30 this morning. Charlotte, the former senior policy advisor in the U.S. Department of Education under then-President Reagan in his first term. And Charlotte's book is downloadable and available if you've got a couple of reams of paper and you want all 750 plus pages. You could do that anytime, free of charge, or you could wait for a new abridged version coming out November 15th. And if you want to pre-order, you could do that right now and save yourself $5 on the price. Just go to the website, vincedaniels.com, and it's available for you to order there. And Charlotte, you are one of the you classify yourself as a resistor because you're a free thinking person. And we were talking before the break about the basics: reading, writing, arithmetic, which is what we're supposed to be basically getting in elementary school, right? Mm-hmm. Well, at what point in your life there was a moment and you talk about in your book. It was your son came home. It was in the third grade, I believe it was.
Yeah, that's right. It was one of the ditto sheets. Yeah, and it was called All About Me. That was the title. It had a smiley face on it.
The title of the assignment, right?
Yeah, all about me, and then there were all these questions like what goes on at home, and about what are your parents, where are they from, what do they do, how many brothers and sisters do you have, what do you do in the evening, what do you do after dinner, a lot of personal questions, and I thought, what on earth is this for? And I think that the teachers were pretty, it's rather understandable. When I took it to the teacher, the elementary school teacher, she said, oh, well, we just, we want to get to know the children before the year starts, and et cetera. And I really believe that most of them believe that. But then I started doing the digging, and I found out, no, these questionnaires were very carefully developed at the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor or wherever, and later on, I found all this stuff in my office in the U.S. Department of Ed. The one grant really blew my mind where they did pre- and post-testing of, this is early elementary school children. It was a values-changing program to find out, where they were at in the beginning, with their feelings about their parents, what went on at home and everything, and then they'd go all the way through the year with these little tots, and then they'd post-test them. And I was so upset about that. I was in the Department of Ed at that time, and I went to the fellow I was working with. It was a waste, fraud, and abuse project. It wasn't meant to be involved in anything to do with philosophy or anything that I was up there. My boss sent me up to the National Institute of Education to get rid of me because I was messing around down in his office too much, and he made a mistake because he put me right into the grants and contracts place. And when I read this grant, I turned to this fellow with a GAO, nice man, just probably knew nothing about education at all. And I said, we're meant to be doing waste, fraud, and abuse. And I said, this grant out of the University of Michigan is wasteful, fraudulent, and abusive in another way. And I showed it to him, and he looked at it, and he said, oh, my God. And I said, well, yeah, huh? And I said, I'm only meant to be up here working with you for a week or two or whatever. I said, I really need a lot more time because there were all of these computer printouts on those rolls that I had to go through. And, if I were going to be doing it for waste, fraud, and abuse, it'd be easy enough to get through it, I guess. But I was reading it for content. And I asked him, can I have more time? And he said, you can have all the time you want. Because he basically, anybody who has their head screwed on right, he saw. Here he was working for the government himself. Bureaucrat with OMB, huh? He saw what I was talking about, and he was absolutely appalled. What the government is doing is trying to change our children from the earliest age. Now it's getting down to, 2 years old. Get in there. Get the children away from the parents. What does that sound like, folks? That's the Soviet Chinese system. That's the communist system.
Collectivism.
Charlotte, I think what you talk about in terms of creating an educational system that's really designed to change people's thinking and control people's minds, I think that's very provocative and it's important information. But I see it a little bit differently. I see it as not necessarily something that is designed and being implemented to feed the needs of the government. I see it as the kind of a change that's being implemented in order to further the goals of the corporate state.
Absolutely. No, I'm sorry if you got the idea that I don't agree.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. But what we have to understand is that, I'm glad you mentioned this because it helps me bring out a very important point. The corporations and the government have merged, and we have this corporatist system, and when I refer to it as being communist, it really is, because the Communist Manifesto calls for the merger of the government with industry, right?
Okay.
And I'm sorry to have to tell all of you that it was under Ronald Reagan that this started. I mean, the plan started way back, with the foundations in the early part of the last century to create a socialist America through the schools. And that's a very important thing I hope you will remember to ask me about, because people can go right directly to my son's website, AmericanDeception.com, and type in conclusions. And you're going to see the 1934 paper, small paper. You cannot get this little book anywhere. By the Carnegie Corporation calling for using the schools, it's very clear, to bring about a socialist America. And so, anyway, conclusions is what you type into the search engine. It's going to blow your listeners' mind when they read that.
And so will this entire book, The Deliberate Dumbing Down of America, written by our guest, Charlotte Thompson Iserbyt. She's joining us here for a full hour. We're going to come back on the other side of the news. Cal Walton is joining me here today. And great to have you here.
Great to be here, Vinny. And great to be involved in this discussion.
Oh, I can't think of a better person here to be co-hosting on the topic of education, an educator yourself. And we're going to do this, continue this on the other side. And your phone calls as well. Toll free 888-909-1050. Jump on board, please. Newsman Nick coming up with all your headlines, traffic, and weather. Just a second.